Hey WWE fans, be sure to check out the RCWR Show live Monday nights on youtube.com/the RCWR Show at 11:15 p.m. Eastern after WWE Raw for full fallout and review along with great live fan reactions.
What is up, boys and girls? It's your pal right here, Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael Lee Sanders, coming at you with some breaking news for Sunday, July 6, 2014. Do hope that your 4th of July holiday weekend has been a good one. It looks like Santino Marella has announced his retirement from the WWE. That is right, folks. Looks like at a WWE live event in Ontario, Canada, on Sunday, July 6th, Santino had announced his retirement due to the fact that he's going to be needing a third neck surgery. He still looks to entertain the fans while still working for the WWE. Now, if you guys had recalled, just about maybe 2 to 3 weeks ago, Santino had recently did an interview in which he talked about his WWE in-ring career winding down, in that he could see himself still being with the company in some type of a backstage capacity role, and he said he hoped that he could continue to have some type of a relationship going with WWE. Now, also back up a little bit further than that, remember, Santino, he also has been making a couple of moves outside of the WWE. He had, with a couple of colleagues, had made his own juice bar / sports club, if I'm not mistaken. This was while he was sitting out on his last injury and he was waiting to get nice and healed up, clear to go back to in-ring action for the WWE. This couldn't come at a more interesting time, but on the flip side, almost a blessing in disguise. And I'm going to tell you the reason why in just a little bit. But before we get to that point, let's just rewind it back a little bit, because I definitely want to chime my thoughts on this as far as Santino retiring and all that. You know, being the old school type of wrestling fan that I am, I always kind of looked at Santino, just his whole gimmick, the entire time that he's been in the WWE. I've always kind of looked at it as an updated version of Andy Kaufman. And you guys know how much of a big fan of wrestling Andy Kaufman was. He understood it. He got it. Those of you that's not really familiar with Andy Kaufman and you have the WWE Network, you definitely want to pull up an episode of Legends of Wrestling. I can't think of the episode offhand. I want to say it might have had something to do with Madison Square Garden or something along those lines, but there was one episode where Jim Ross, Michael Hayes, just a big old roundtable discussion. They were talking about the whole celebrity effect. As a matter of fact, I believe that's the name of the episode, the celebrity effect. Pull that up, where they definitely talk about Andy Kaufman. You can definitely get a little bit more of an insight into him, but he was mainly known as a comedian, and it just so happened that when he had made the transition into working with the WWE at the time, he really had helped them out tremendously, and he's a guy that is just still talked about to this very day. But I always looked at Santino Marella as an updated version of him. I still remember the infamous night way back in 2007 when Santino had made his debut and Vince McMahon had selected Santino for Umaga. And you talk about a surprising upset victory that it was, because Santino had defeated Umaga for the Intercontinental Championship, and like nobody had saw this coming. And it was so funny the way that they did it, because Santino was basically picked from the fan section, if I'm not mistaken, while they were out in Italy or whatever, and he won the Intercontinental Championship. Had a little bit of help from Bobby Lashley, as this was pretty much leading up to the Battle of the Millionaires or the Billionaires. Vince McMahon taking on Donald Trump, as Vince McMahon would have Umaga in his corner. Meanwhile, Donald Trump would have Bobby Lashley in his corner. You know, my man Bobby Lashley is gonna kick Umaga's butt. McMahon, go Bobby! I love that. I love that. You guys gotta pull that up if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But in either case, I remember shortly afterwards, like 24 hours later, they did an article on WWE's website interviewing Santino, talking about how he became the Intercontinental Champion and all that. Shortly afterwards, he started feuding with Chris Masters, first couple of series of title defenses. And then eventually, we actually saw him do a little bit of a short angle with Jerry Lawler, teamed up with Carlito briefly. I mean, talk about all the girls, though, that Santino got to be paired up with during his tenure with the company. We saw him first get hooked up with Maria Kanellis, who's now in Ring of Honor, also making various appearances for other promotions. Let's not forget about the Glamourella era, where they were trying to play off of Brad Pitt with Angelina Jolie, as that was the pairing of Santino Marella and Beth Phoenix, the Glamazon, who's now happily retired, kid on the way, got Edge as her man/husband. Life can't really get any better than that. And then from there, we saw Santino get paired up with one of the last girls that he would get paired up with. Hopefully I didn't miss a girl in between all that. But we saw him get paired up with Emma. And I know for a lot of the hardcore fans that appreciate Emma, they're probably looking at this piece of news as a blessing in disguise, because Emma had came up the main WWE roster with this whole dancing Elaine from Seinfeld meets Bangles walk like an Egyptian type of vibe going on. She brought this with her from NXT. It caught on over there, but just really hasn't seemed to be connecting that well with the main WWE roster of fans for main WWE programming. A lot of people were looking for this alliance to end very quickly, and it looks like they kind of got that blessing in disguise now. But you just think about all the various girls that Santino had the opportunity to get paired up with. Of course, the various tag teams that he's done. I remember one that really kind of stands out in my mind the most that I actually enjoyed was when he teamed up with Vladimir Kozlov. I had really enjoyed the hell out of that. Briefly, he had also teamed up with Justin Gabriel, Tyson Kidd, Zack Ryder, Great Khali, Hornswoggle. He just pretty much has worked with everybody. In-ring ability-wise, definitely a very entertaining man. Hell, Santino even worked with Triple H briefly. There was a few times there where I remember Santino was booked in a couple of pay-per-view matches for the WWE Championship, and it was really looking as though Santino was going to be the underdog. It looked as though he was possibly going to become the WWE champion. WWE, they teased it a few times over the years. But, I think I'm going to take a different approach with regards to this, because I know there's probably going to be some of my colleagues that's going to be looking at this, and they're going to be like, thank God, so glad this guy is freaking done. Couldn't stand him. How the hell he was able to stay in the WWE for so long? Because you're basically looking at about almost 10 years that this guy was with the company. Never got released or anything, and we should know there's a couple of times there, at least one, maybe twice, I must say once for certain, where he had gotten in trouble. I think it was a DUI or whatever, and a lot of people were expecting him to be done, but he still continued on with the WWE and all that. I know there's a lot of people that's looking at this, and they're probably going to be very happy, but I, who can definitely appreciate old school wrestling and all that, thus the Andy Kaufman reference that I made earlier, I honestly had no problem with Santino. Just sometimes there were some segments that he was involved in that just really seemed downright silly. As the sweet iced tea, hard lemonade commercial from Twisted Tea, whatever the hell they're calling that stuff, that had came about from WWE Raw this past week, where they did not do the whole drink responsibly, be at least 21 years of age or older. You guys that missed that, we have a great excerpt of that available on our YouTube channel here. We'll make sure we post a link to that in the episode description below. But there were just some segments that just really kind of made you go, oof, man, this is a rough one. This really isn't funny. But for the most part, Santino always had that very energetic type of character. It was definitely something that you could connect with very well. It definitely had met the age demographics, even if you were older. Had a little something for everybody with Santino Marella. I'm definitely gonna miss the guy, contrary to how some people may feel about this announcement. I definitely am gonna miss him. And just to show you the type of respect that Santino Marella had, and my God, I can't believe I almost forgot that period where Santino was running around as Santina. And he was doing the whole diva thing, even won the Divas Championship, was feuding with Vicky Guerrero, if I'm not mistaken, for a hot minute, was crowned the inaugural Miss WrestleMania after a 25-woman battle royal, went on to challenge Mickey James and all that. Oh my God, I can't believe I almost forgot about that. But getting back on track here, you know, just to show you how much respect WWE had for Santino, if you look at his name, Santino Marella, it's paying homage to the late WWE Hall of Famer Gorilla Monsoon. I don't know if you guys are really aware of that. So they definitely kind of got the same impression that I did, that Santino was a bit of a throwback type of wrestler. You can kind of almost pinpoint it back to when Andy Kaufman had started working with the WWE. So that just kind of shows you the type of respect that they had. I just think that's very interesting and all that. Of course, Santino also has a very strong background in mixed martial arts, where he claims to have a 6-1 record. He's always been a big fan of MMA. As a matter of fact, he was just talking about the recent UFC event that went down over the weekend. So, you know, I see nothing but good things continuing to happen for this man, even if he decides he no longer wants to have anything to do with the WWE. And he's still relatively young. He's only 35 years of age. So whatever he decides he wants to do post wrestling, the sky's the limit, man. He's got a great mind, definitely has a great appreciation for the business. I've heard nothing but praise for this guy. I've never heard anybody bad mouthing him. Contrary, a lot of people have nothing but good praise for him. So what do you guys think about the news of Santino announcing his retirement? I definitely want you guys to go out of your way, post your comments down below, and what we'll do for you guys, we'll actually follow up on what you all have to say on our radio edition of the RCWR show, which you can catch this Tuesday night, July 8th at 10 p.m. Eastern over at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show. Hey, is it your first time checking us out? If so, I'd love to have you subscribe to us so that you never miss out on all the great content that we do for you guys here on a weekly basis, whether it comes to breaking news just like this, doing a little bit of cool reviews, or some laid back interviews. We got a little bit of something for everybody. So make sure you go out of your way and hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on all the great content we do for you guys here on a weekly basis. We also have episodes available on the downloads, Stitcher, iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio. Just check out all the links in the episode description below and do join us. Until I see and hear from you guys next go round, do be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you next go round. Everybody, take care.